Okay, so share the epiphany.
Humbleness is not just sitting quiet and out of the way. Humbleness is speaking your truth
Mm.
and speaking from your heart and sharing that.
And what if you speak your truth and speak from your heart, and you know that's going to trigger someone and potentially make them feel vulnerable and upset and kind of frustrated and confused why you are not just going along with them and not speaking up and setting boundaries?
Well, if you speak with truth and love, you have nothing to fear.
Mm. What
And
about
your
what about
intention.
what about those stages where you're trying to gain the strength to empower yourself to set those boundaries with love, to be able to let those people grow and not be so triggered, but to grow independently versus sort of that two-man-legged race? When you're learning how to, well, when any of us are learning how to empower ourselves with that boundaries, it's a bit scary because we know our truth, we know our intentions, we send love to them, but that feeling of stepping away can trigger our own personal abandonment issues if we haven't overcome them, haven't loved ourselves enough to know that it's their responsibility to love themselves, their responsibility to do their own inner work, and that when we love people so much, we can go at their pace of learning. And sometimes that doesn't serve us because our teams, with their kind of hands on hips, are saying, you need to get a wriggle on, you need to go faster, you need to grow faster because you're much more capable of what you're doing right now. And while some of us want to have friends along the journey, our teams will push us to know that, doing group projects, for example, are not necessarily what we're supposed to.
Well, on that of speaking your truth and love, it does take practice, and it's conscious practice of when you engage in a conversation with anybody, and to have the sacred breath. And when you're sharing, there's many ways to share, and that's with your tone of voice and the words you use. And sometimes you don't have to share all of the truth. You can share the truth, but you don't have to share all of the truth of every single detail. And so really sit and feel into it. And this is where the importance of having a sacred breath, because from my own experience, I've always put so many words together, and from my own anxieties and beautiful gifts that I have that I'm just learning to understand. And I'm learning to practice now to actually just stop and have a breath and then continue on. And as I said before and keep saying, it's all a practice, because it definitely doesn't just happen straight away after so many years of just rambling out words, before you're feeling that you're actually lost in a dark abyss within your body, but yet you're still present in the physical form. But yes, having this breath, I even closing your eyes and then continuing on, it really, really helps. And who's to say what is the right way to communicate or not to? You are the creator, and it's really up to you. And with the person who's receiving, if they have your best interest, if they love you, they have no issue at all with how you take your time to speak or to share.
True.
That's how I feel.
But there just seems to be many layers and levels of what people think and feel is acceptable levels of love. There is definitely this culture of love with conditions. And I mean, I fully agree 100% with what you're saying. And I think this is the hard part of having boundaries, loving and respecting yourself, loving and respecting the other, and also knowing that there is going to be some, not like ramifications and backlash, but you're going to sense when we change the way that we treat our friends and family with these new boundaries, they're going to sense something new that they didn't sense with us before. And it will definitely trigger them in a whole range of things that they may or may not want to look at.
Yes, and that's their journey.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for us to have the faith in them that they can get and walk through their own journey and heal and
100%.
grow from
Yeah.
whatever we set, because it's back to that beautiful saying again, is that we do more for the universe looking after ourselves than we do anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes down to setting our boundaries.
Yeah.
And I've only just recently consciously set my very first boundary with a close friend of mine, and actually mentioned the words, I'm setting a healthy boundary, because my message wasn't being received.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt very empowering.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Amazing.
felt good. And also to come from the place and understanding that with setting this boundary, it's also allowing so much growth for his journey and for my journey. Whether that can be seen or not, that's for that man to, that's his choice. But there's so much growth in this for us both. And it's having the courage to set the boundary, and it's having courage to stand tall with your boundary, because boundaries aren't always recognized the first time you put it out.
You're just sowing the
Because
seed.
usually,
Yeah.
yeah, you're sowing the seed.
So
Because
did you notice any sort of worries and concerns and self-doubt, or any sort of, were you 100% all the time confident with your boundaries as soon as you set it, that was good? Or did you have a little bit of reluctance, like when you were noticing to practice this? What did you notice coming up?
yeah, interesting. I sat with it first before. It wasn't just a quick type and send. I sat with it and breathed with it. And in this particular situation, I've been actually sitting and going through with this brother of mine, this good friend, for well over a year. And I've really brought myself down to some quite low frequency and energy. We've just been so harsh on myself. And so it's been quite a long time for me to build up the courage to actually send this out. And when I did send it, I felt good. But then, yes, a bit of doubt came in, and then my ego or whatever it was wanted to come back in and start feeling really bad for my friend, and because I know his journey and I know he is a good man too. And then I said, oh, did I make the right decision? And then I had to catch myself and not to feed the story, and sit with my heart again, and ground. I know that I made the right decision for myself, for my being, to not let this back in again. And so that did creep in, but I caught it, and I dissected that and let that go away. And I feel good. I feel very good and feel empowered. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm all
I
for empowerment.
just just to add as well, is that when I set the boundary as well, I set the boundary and said, I'm not in the space to connect, and I'm setting up just a boundary, and I send you all my light and love. And whether we like someone or don't like someone, or we want to disconnect from someone, we must always send them light and love.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not here, we don't have to like every spirit and every soul, but we do must send them light and love. And it really helps to say the words. If there's someone who's living rent free in your mind, that you can say, I disconnect from this person, but I ask for light and love to their spirit and soul. And it really helps to lighten and make your mind rent free.
I I love it that. I feel like we all love all souls. I think it's just their human expression of coping in their lives, of how they manifest their human experience, that can be very challenging to love, because when people are stuck in trauma and blame and victim and angry, they're can be very painful and hurtful and spiteful and sort of almost, I don't want to say dangerous, but kind of dangerous in some regards. So we just know that soul is having a fantastic time on earth. And I think we do love all souls. And I think this is where the empaths resonate so deeply with the core soul, but then don't know how to manage and work and support and love and heal, because we want to do all of that to that soul, that human, even the animal, that being. We so want to nurture them and love them with the normal frequency that we have, and yet this can be very challenging to set boundaries while being an empath, while loving the crap out of them, while still seeing them as human and respecting their journey as human.
Yes, we must have faith in them to find this themselves. If
Yes,
we keep taking on all of this, their burdens and their energies, and taking it away from them, we're not doing them any service. We're not doing anyone any service. So we have that faith in them to find that themselves. That really
absolutely. And
is where
people
it's at.
don't realize how they absorb the burdens and the energy and the density from others. They, can actively listen, passionately understand all of their range of emotions. They can be right there energetically living their friends' trauma, problems, struggles as if it's their own. And then that person will go away feeling great because they've downloaded and offloaded a lot of their stresses and worries and concerns. And that empath is still holding on to nothing that really serves them. Wasn't even really supposed to be theirs in the first place, but they don't realize they've got all of this
This resonates so deeply. I've walked into rooms and being crippled and just I'm not understanding I've just been so confused, and obviously because it's all energy, it's not words. And I've really only began to understand this over the last year.
Yeah,
And this is where understanding really comes in, and understanding of these energies, is because then you can go, is this mine, is this theirs, who
yeah,
owns this shit, what is happening here? So when it comes in, you can set up your white light, and when you actually say, is this mine, if it's not yours, it will fall away and you'll feel lighter. But what happens is, for so long when I was in the unknowing of this energy, I just took it all in and just kept crippling myself with this,
yeah.
and being so confused. And so it's really where it really comes in to know and
I
to
have,
drop.
yeah. I fully understand. I've heard people in big groups talking about how everyone must turn off their Wi-Fi and their data, and because this is too much. They're feeling too much energy, and they're very, very sensitive to the energy of the cell phone towers, and 5G must be in the room, and who's got a device that's disturbing the energy field. And they're serious about it. They think it's a device. They're not seeing the hundreds of people that are standing in front of them that are all now afraid, or collectively you're afraid that there is something that's invisible getting you. And so everyone goes into a panic mode because at some point most people are afraid of these sort of things. If someone influential in your circle your spiritual circle or your truth circle telling you about these things that are out there that are impacting you and getting you. And I've heard this time and time again where people are saying, I can't go out shopping, I can't go out to the streets, I can't go into town because the energy of the 5G towers is, I get home and I'm destroyed energetically. And I say, okay, well, let's ask your subconscious this in sessions, because I'm not going to say, oh, that's just fear-based nonsense, my friend, you've been sold bullshit. Because that's not compassionate. I like the subconscious to tell people the truth. And I've only ever heard that the issues that people are really struggling with is collecting other people's energy fields and holding them too tight and not grounding. Grounding is the biggest thing that is making us struggle the most.
Yes. There's a lot of us out there, a lot of people out there who are just concerned about ascending when they haven't even mastered grounding yet. And this is what we're here to do. And Mother Earth, she is just fantastic at taking all of the lower energies. This is one of her most beautiful things she does once we gift it to her. Once we consciously say we're like to cleanse and gift back to Mother Earth and transmute to light and love. And she takes up all that dark, gooey gunk and she just transmutes that into beautiful light. And so grounding is so important in the breath work. But also what I hear from this group of people as well, and just that person who says, I go out to the 5G and I take all this in. We must remember the power of the word. It's what we speak is what we create. It's the first agreement in the Toltec wisdom: be impeccable with your word. As we speak, we create, and it's very, very powerful. So the more we remember and more we consciously connect with our word.
I've explored this in sessions, and they say you could say to someone that I love you, but it has to follow with intention and integrity. And so, if you're saying something that you don't really mean, you're not creating those words. You're creating what you mean. You're creating the energy. Energy doesn't lie, people do. And when people are saying one thing but really meaning another, they're not creating the fake words, they're creating their true integrity and intention.
The word, it's not just a sound or a written symbol. The word is a force. It is the power you have to express and communicate, to think, and thereby to create the events in your life. And
but if I was going to say I'm going to get skinny and start running, will I start getting skinny and will I start running? It's really the actions behind it that actually do create. I mean, if I just keep saying I'm skinny but don't believe it while eating donuts, I will not get skinny because I don't believe I'm going to get skinny. I don't give a fuck what I look like, and I haven't for a long time, obviously. But I understand what you're saying. I think this is why a lot of people get scared of casting spells on each other. And if you believe I'm going to start running and I'm going to get skinny, then in your mind, you'll create that illusion about me. Thank you. I look fabulous. Thanks. But you know what I mean? Like there is these statements that are cast out there that are taken for truth. And did you hear, I don't know if you listened to the sessions, but there was one about, someone had messaged me kind of concerned or curious, I should say, about if you have sex with someone, does that mean energetically you connected in with them for 8 years? And they said, well, if you believe you'll be connected in with them for 8 years, yes. But from our perspective, why would time be a difference in connection with each other? If you keep thinking about someone for 8 years, you will be connected in. You'll be connected in with someone every time you think of them, regardless of whether it's positive thoughts or negative thoughts. And so what are our belief systems that we've been told on our spiritual journey that we assume are true because some influencer has said it and it's really common knowledge? But if we allow to have belief systems of truth without the written word even, or the spoken word. But I understand, I notice the power of a word when the same integrity and intention is there. That is incredibly powerful.
Mm. It truly is. And just on belief, as you're sharing there, as Dolores said, that if we believe, from one of her clients, that if you believe in hell, well, then you will bring yourself to hell, and you will be there for as long as you believe that that's where you're meant to be, until you bring yourself out. So belief is very strong in so many aspects.
She's coming in and saying, I said, believe and you shall receive, doubt and you will be out. And so saying, this is what she would say and remind people when they got profound healing. So people who have cancers and a whole lot of physical ailments and issues, when she would discover the root cause, which was really trash talking themselves or something that manifested into a dis-ease, they had to remember that they were loved, that they could empower themselves, they can heal themselves. And this trash talk of self and this sickness that is trying to destroy the body doesn't serve them. And you have power and control of what does serve you. And when she would find clients that were making themselves sick to be loved by others, cared for by others, she would always explore this to see, is this a life contract? Do they need to have a patient and nurse relationship to make that person who's the nurse, who doesn't have much empathy skills, to develop this? How has this relationship between them? Because it's not, we can't just blame the victim who's creating themselves to be sick, thinking, well, suck it up and, think positive. It could be a contract. And if that contract is, well, I'm going to get sick this lifetime, worship me while I get healthy on my own leisure. It's so layered. And when she found that those clients were making themselves sick because they were seeking attention from others, when truly we all know we can self-serve ourselves and give ourselves the attention of health and happiness and wellness. And so it was about, what is it truly? Is it a life contract with each other, or is this a cry for help? And when you realize that you can heal yourself and love yourself, you can profoundly change. It's a very powerful time to heal. And so even back when she was working with clients, believe you're loved, believe you're healthy, know this, feel this. And so some people would say, well, Dolores Cannon said I'd get healthy, so she believes in me. And that was enough for them. They kind of used her as a crutch to trust. She saw good in me. She believed I can get better. And I listened to my session and I was speaking and I said I was going to get better too. There has to be hope and faith in this. So anyway, sorry, don't know where that came from. Well, I do. But...
Beautiful. yeah, beautiful. Well, just what I pick up from that is that we are the medicine and we are the healers. It's when we choose to believe that we are so, and that we don't need to be looking for anything external or searching for anything, because we are enough and we are everything and we are one in this very moment. It's such an interesting paradox and illusion that we're in, but more of us beginning to wake up and to see that we are so much more than we are led to believe, because that's what everything is about, is to make us believe that we are a lot less than who we truly are.
But it's not, I know lots of people say, oh, that's just the workings of the cabal. They don't want us to know. No, that's not the case as well. I mean, yes, sort of, but we didn't want to remember how amazing we are because we wanted to have these experiences of being human. This is a challenge and a unique struggle to forget thyself when we're so familiar by our true selves. To have this holiday novelty factor of forgetting who we are to play human is hysterical for our souls. and
Yeah,
laughter.
yeah, it is. Well, I think it's back down to everything else in life is balance. So we have a balance of it all,
Mm,
balance of the human aspect, of the soul, of our spirit, of everything.
mhm,
Balance, because we're here to experience it all, but
mhm.
to see it that and not to take it so seriously,
Yeah.
and to see it for what it is, which is all experience, all growth, and all love, love infinite, past it all.
They mentioned something, I don't think they've said it before in a session, which was they acknowledged that some people are having life contract remorse.
Yeah, I've seen a few comments on the page, all right, that people are like, oh, that's it, I'm not coming back to this earth again. And some people are even saying that they wanted to have an early exit, but they said only for the fact is I think I'll come back as myself. And Dolores is saying, well, quite possibly, yes. And even through the hardest times, we all have so much here to give and to learn, and that we are so much, we are it all. So there's always hope and growth and love. And
Mm,
we're here for a purpose, regardless of where we might be or see to be. We've got such purpose here on this earth, as exactly as we are, nothing less and nothing more.
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, I mean, that's a great way to not put too much pressure on ourselves, because it seems like, we wake up every day high vibrational, and then people start worrying. Am I going to be good enough today? Am I going to get triggered today? Am I going to find it challenging to deal with people who are not on my wavelength? Like, as soon as we start worrying about the day, or the future, or any sort of, in quotation marks, worrying, even worrying if I'm good enough, will lower the frequency. And
Mhm.
this is where it's nice to just have that full acceptance. I think this is when you have full acceptance, then it seems like this massive accelerant growth of, once you get to that neutral of balance, then it becomes very apparent that most of the big chunks of the past have just faded away. Then when you're in this balance, this is when you are able to reach higher frequencies, higher uploads, upgrades, whatever you want to call them. And that is really empowering. I have noticed and witnessed.
Yes. And just to share as well from my experience, like I'm a head person. I have been in my mind for the majority of my life, and I drop into the worry and the lack of self-worth and the insecurities and am I good enough? Um, and like it can be such a hectic story. Actually, the story, that's what I'm feeding, is the story, and the story is better than any soap opera that you can watch on TV or any movie. But what I've been working with, and to really help me bring me out, is so I don't drop into it really super, I don't drop into it for the rest of the day, is I catch myself and I said, oh, where did that come from? And what I actually do is a physical action. I blow and it's like I'm blowing it away,
Mhm.
and I come back to the present moment with breath.
Mm.
And beauty is in the present moment and in the now. And I feel like in the present moment, in the now, is like the fifth dimension, where we are, where no fear, where nothing can belong. It's just like up there, all the divine beings and everything. And that's what we are. So when we blow that away and we keep in the present moment, there's no worries in the now.
Mm.
It's just that we're so addicted. Like the most thing we're addicted to in the world is not drinking, drugs, and food. It's overthinking, and we overthink negatively. When do we ever overthink positively? I don't know. Well, fucking, excuse me, I don't know. I definitely haven't for such a long time in my life, but I'm changing that up.
Mm.
And so I guess what I'd say is just to be aware and to catch them and go, oh, I'm not going to go in with that story, as seductive and as lucrative as it is, as the victim and um, the insecure self wants to grab onto that and go, yeah, that's where I want to go. Empower yourself and say, no, I'm catching it. I see it. And then I recite some affirmations. I love
Mhm.
myself. I trust myself. I know myself. I value myself. And That's just a little tip of how I bring myself out.
Nice. They were saying in a session recently about looking in the mirror and really honoring sort of like the eyes of the soul and the body, the reflection, really saying it and meaning it. And it sort of seems like that would be an amazing way to start the day and feel into, why is it that you can't fully feel that what you're saying is 100% authentic if you are resisting to say that and to really mean it? Can be really confronting, because the story of, well, I can't really love myself because, you know, when I was 4 years old, I shoplifted. You know, like, what is, ask yourself, why aren't you in love with yourself? I mean, and people will say, well, that's just arrogance, or, you know, oh, that's just ego. Well, we've all got egos. Is it imbalance? Do you love yourself because you love your choices? And if you haven't loved your choices, then fantastic. Today is a new day.
Mm.
I think being a parent has sort of helped me on my spiritual journey, because, you know, when I prepare pasta, it can be so fantastic and so good one day, and then just look repulsive. And my children sort of like to explore food, and it is just such a interesting thing. They like pineapple in one way but not in another. They like pasta in one way and not in the other. It's exactly the same, it's just different shapes, different different presentations, and it's just finding the key for that day that works for them. And they may love the food one day, and, you know, you try to recreate it and they've already outgrown it, and to actually try and serve it to them again is just outrageous. And I feel like when our friends are growing at a rapid rate and we're not really noticing their changes and their new tastes and their new approaches and maybe even their new boundaries, I like what you were saying about trusting them to get on with their own growth and journey. And when we're so, the older versions of us, which is literally the younger versions of us, if you add time, is us trying to do so much for everyone else, that those friends who still remember us as giving everything find it very strange and almost cold and distant. They see our sort of boundaries and they sort of will take it as an internal disconnect, even though we are trying to disconnect so they can empower themselves. If they're not on the same journey, they will not understand.
Well, it's a shock because for so long it's been one way. Whether that's from the person or from actually the empath themselves letting it be that way. It's a duel, isn't it? It's a
Yeah,
two-way street.
definitely.
So when you set that boundary and you speak up and you make yourself known, it's a shock to the receiver to
Yeah.
hear, because it's not something that they would, some might not even be consciously doing what they're doing. And then it's like an abrupt stop to it. And they're like, oh, okay. So
It's a
it really
routine.
does, yeah, make them take note. That's it. But that is their choice. If they wish to take note and go within rather than external, then there can be some great growth. But that in line is not for me to try to understand, for that is their journey. I don't need to try to understand everything.
True. For me, just getting to the analogy of like the children eating, you know, like sometimes that meal is the best, and sometimes, you know, what we can serve for each other is the best and it feels amazing. And then when we go to repeat it, it's not it's not working. And I think, as you know, as adults, I think or just as humans, maybe what does work once, we assume will always work. And I think we have started to shut down considering ways to communicate with our friends who may have been on a different path and journey with us for the last few years. And they may have we may have had loving relationships until 2020. And then, suddenly our connections and the things that used to work, the things that they used to love us for, they suddenly don't love us for, say, having different opinions about pandemics and things. And it's very weird to have big changes like this, sort of really testing boundaries and limits of friendships. And this is when you would expect, well, they should love me because, we've had all these amazing years past. And this has been a very challenging one for people where they suddenly, friends of 40 years are suddenly no longer talking because they've got different belief systems of the pandemic. And this is such a shocking one because the friends are saying, Joe, why don't they know me? They should know me. They should love me. Why are they not open to me having a different opinion? And, their favorite meal all of a sudden tastes like shit.
Yes.
And the thing is that how do we still support our friends who suddenly we're not their favorite meal, and what we're providing and serving them as a friendship isn't delicious anymore and charming, and it's actually quite distasteful. And of course, when we explore in sessions, the subconscious will say, well, you're going in different directions anyway. After this shift, you're going in different places. You are, life contracts have changed. Sure, this was always the way, but for this point in your journey, you were supposed to be together. It's hard because we like routine. We like to have our favorite meals forever. That gives us comfort, that gives us security in our boundaries. And so we have to be flexible while also creating new boundaries. It's a very interesting dance.
Okay, I love your analogy. Very beautifully shared. What comes to my heart is to have no expectations for the second dish of pasta. So
Yes.
it's like a lot of us, we have expectations that people are going to meet us where we are at, and that they will align with our values. And I say this quite a bit, and I say it again, and it's a Native American teaching, is to respect everyone's journey. And actually what this allows us to do is, especially for our close ones and friends and family who are very lost in everything that's going on, really, which is so clear for us to see. This gives us the space now to have extra love and compassion for our friends and family, because we are with a higher frequency. So we have the greater responsibility because we know better and we know that it's all love, as every particle in the universe is made of love. And the truth is that only love is real. So we keep bringing ourselves back to that.
Yeah.
And in experience with my own family, they're all vaxxed and love through all of their journey, and I'm unvaxxed. And rather than me let any of this nonsense get in the way between our love, I would just defuse if we were speaking about it. I would not engage in it, and I would just say I'm happy for you because they made their decision, and I'm grateful for you. And after a while, it's not even been mentioned. So it was just really, it was testing because I had this inside me going, oh, I want to, oh, you're getting your second one, but, and you're this and that and your age. So rather than me actually going into any of that lower energy, which would just heighten it for everyone involved, I completely didn't give that any attention. And I just said, I'm happy for you. I'm grateful for you. I didn't carry any energy with me. I didn't send any bad energy that way. And it flowed on. And just in regards to that, this whole thing that's going on for the last 2 years or however long, I don't know, because it hasn't been in my reality. I choose not to drop into the lower frequency and the fear of it all. So yeah,
Which
it's
brings us
very
to full circle of your first epiphany, which was to be humble doesn't mean to not speak up. So now you've had this gigantic growth of self and epiphanies. You being
Yes.
you now, with the strength and love and courage of you now, with no guilt from past, celebrating all lessons and experiences with pure love frequency, shining out and radiating out in everything you do and be and feel and think and say. Would you be able to speak your truth and still support those with your delivery on respecting your choices and decisions?
Yes. And it would be down to, again, of sharing my truth, but
Mm-hmm.
not all of the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I broke into all of the truths, like, it could really cripple someone and push them the far side away.
The dark side of the
So,
force.
it could just, like, some of the stuff there you could share, like, wow, to just be overload. And I don't want to do that to anybody, but
Yeah.
I can do it in a compassionate way,
Mm-hmm.
and to really read the energy of the room and see how it's received.
Mm.
And only if it's been received. I'm not there to force,
Mm.
because like in the universe and like in jujitsu, nothing can be forced.
Mm.
And
Do
so
you
it's, yeah.
feel that the best approach for this would be talking about your experiences, your thoughts, and your feelings on your choices and your body and your decisions, versus telling them all, well, you've taken the 15th billion one, you're all fucked now, you're walking
Yeah.
dead. Like, like obviously it's
Yeah.
delivery, but
Yeah.
like, is
Um,
it time for them to hear why you've chosen to trust your body, to know that your body will recover from getting a cold or flu? Like, you can own it.
so yes. Well, I did touch lightly with my family
Mhm.
about where I was coming from, and then like what I quickly noticed, it was just like a back and forth. So I really stopped it really quick. And I tell you something, what's been most moving and powerful is just being, and they're seen from my action.
Yeah.
They're not, it's not coming across as words, as like being told as you're a child, and we don't listen to the closest ones to us anyway. Someone close to us could be telling us something for 10 years, and someone down the street tells us the same thing. You're like, oh wow, this person just told me
This
this today.
it's
And
triggered
like then
so many people. Seriously, I know exactly what that is. And this
yeah,
is so, like, our love and light friends who've known the truth for a long time, they will get so triggered when their husband of 1 million years, 27 lifetimes, will not listen to them about their concerns and worries, and then some bypasser will just say, hey, I think it could be dangerous, and then all of a sudden honestly, because the frustrating thing is that person, that truther, wants to be the one to give them this news, to be heard and respected, and oh, I was saved by so and so. Like, that sort of seems to be like, they want to be a hero, they want to protect others, they want to give the people the truth and the wisdom of all their research and all this sort of stuff. And it's almost like their glory has taken away because the paper delivery boy said, oh, watch out, I think there's some reactions.
mm, it's so funny. It really is. I don't even try to understand it, how it works. But
Well,
I-
ego.
yeah, true. As we were sharing there, like, about um time to share them, but I share with my family or in the more depth, and definitely I'll feel into it
Hmm.
if it feels right. But I don't even feel the need to, because I'm so authentically living my life that
Yeah.
we must remember that our presence speaks way louder than anything else we do.
Yeah.
Just standing in the room, our presence is such a beautiful light, and
Yes.
it's a beautiful um, warm, loving light that just hits everything and hits everyone.
So again, it's
And
about not what we say, but it's what we think and feel, because that's really the universal language.
yes, like, our first language is vibration. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it really is. And at the beginning of the year, I left my job. I left my house that I was staying with close friends for 5 years, sold a lot of my stuff, and I went out into the forest where my friend has got this beautiful land. And I stayed in the forest for 2 weeks camping, and I was meditating, praying, running around naked, get into the water, and it was just incredible. And I shared this experience with my family, and I ended up staying out there for a few months. It was really beautiful, disconnecting to reconnect, Mother Nature, which we all are. And it was so funny. My mom was like, "Oh, what are you doing? Like job security and money and all that, and it'll come when I need it."
Mm.
We're in such a consumerism place. We actually don't need much. And then obviously mom's worried about me, of course. It's cute and it's lovely. And then my brother was ringing me and he goes, "Oh yeah, but like shouldn't you be looking to save up and be getting a house?" And because I was telling him I'm learning permaculture and working with um organic foods and growing, and he goes, "Well, wouldn't you need a house for that first?" And I said to him, "How many people in the world have a house with a garden and they don't know what to do with the garden? So
Yeah.
I'll tend to the garden first, and then the house will come." And then he was like, "Oh, okay, well, that's a fair view."
It's
And
kind of like we have this assumption sort of built into us that we will, go to school, get a job, get married, have children, die.
yeah,
Kind of
that's yes,
a
yes.
mortgage. I forgot to say
And
mortgage.
because this is so in the unknown to our family, to my family, and just like it's so much in the unknown to our family and friends who receive the vaccinations, the unknown is very scary to
Mm,
those who are in the unknown, and
yeah,
they're like, "Wow, we're conforming, everyone's doing this, and why is my love, my child, my brother, my sister, why aren't they not doing this?"
yeah,
So it's all coming from a place of love, if we can see this, and compassion. It really is, but it's
absolutely.
just it's distorted,
Yeah.
and that's just the ply of it all, and that's no fault onto them either. But when I shared my bro that I was staying out a bit longer and I was sleeping in the back of the car and drinking water from the streams and just really living a beautiful life, he said to me, he goes, "Jesus," he goes, it's not a culture in it, is it?" And I said, well, I said, if it's a cult, it's the greatest cult in the world that I'm following my soul and my heart and my free will. And
Mm.
I said, yes, and that's it. And it was just the unknown. It was just the unknown. And
Well, I mean, because there's labels for what you did. You were homeless, which already conjures up a whole lot of things about, you obviously have got lots of issues. And, the thing is that you probably, I mean, you found it very hard to come back into society to actually
Mm.
be part of the systems again.
Yes, I did. And like just with the homeless thing, if you look at it, like what is it that most people do? They have a house and they work. So if you break the chain and you step outside of that, it's like, oh shit, what's going on here?
Mm.
And yes, I did struggle when I came back in. What didn't help is that I went to Kingpin Bowling on my first day back in town for a friend's birthday, because I'm very much trying to connect with the divine child again. And I said, "Oh, this would be great fun in with the bowling and playing the arcade games." Oh my God, talk about sensory overload. And I I really struggled, and I was talking to people, but I was looking directly into their heart and soul, because their souls were yearning. I could feel them.
Yeah.
And I just had to get out of there. I could barely make my way out, and I got back into nature, and I got sick. But it was just the integration back into it all, and the disconnection that everyone is in and experiencing. Like when you go out into nature for just a few days even, and you come back in, you can really feel a lot more the disconnection.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but it's never fully disconnected. This is the beautiful thing. It's all us within us, because we are nature
So
and we
true.
are one. So it's also an illusion that it is.
So you went camping for months on end, then you go to bowling where you have rented shoes and you have oh,
Oh,
the sounds,
so,
the sticky floor, the sounds alone are very challenging, and then lots of celebrations, and usually music, as well as the smashing of balls onto, yeah, that would have been
So intense, so intense. Well, I'm grateful for it, and I'm grateful for coming back into town because this is where I need to be.
Mm,
And we are in a time now that we are mystics without monasteries. Our temples are within,
mm,
and we are our own masters, and we are our own teachers. And this is the time to come back in and to share and to be amongst the people. The times of sitting in the caves, they're done. Now
yeah.
we're here to integrate together, and that's where it need to be. So
It seems,
yeah.
yeah, I love that. I mean, and it seems like I mean, I know it must sound like a real sort of egoic thing to say, the advanced souls, but I know the advanced souls, I'm going to label them the advanced souls that are here on earth now, who have fully humbled themselves energetically to be human. And, with amazing life contracts, like all of the first waivers were exactly this. And they got just gobbled up with the density and the dramas and the routines and the mundane lives and the muggle life of being human, back in that time. No magic, all density, limited love, and just a lot of propaganda.
Mm, yeah, I can only imagine what it was like for them now, to be fair, the
Oh,
different
it's
times.
absolutely, like, I mean, it's, there's density and then there's super density. And I think when they were sort of measuring the frequency of the earth was sort of like in the 1888s ish, seems to be a very popular year. Lots of people go to 1888 for some reason. And it seems like they are sort of the volunteers that have come in to explore, the earth frequency, to sort of start laying down the templates and the grid lines and a whole lot of stuff energetically to be able to support. So yeah, they were roughing it. And the thing is that they were so advanced as souls that all our collectives were like, oh, this is a shoo-in, this is fantastic, they're going to just go down there and be heroes. And they'd sort of reluctantly, allowed certain beings to come back down, um, with full memory, because this has happened many times before, where sort of, big influential people were supposed to come and really be big way showers, and they sort of got so idolized and so sort of worshipped that they totally forgot, what they were here for, and got super sidetracked and did all sorts of sort of their own personal mischief for mayhem. And that's all experiences that were allowed, obviously. But it's amazing, who and what have come here to be of service. And even if these big energy beings come here and still get a bit dazed and confused about who they truly are, we have to trust that when they can ground themselves, they're very beneficial.
Yes, yeah, very much so. And yeah, back to that ground, and the humbleness and humility and integrity, and being impeccable.
It seems
And
like,
yeah.
though, people have sort of got this silly assumption that you must be a really, you must have a really high paid, a really high influential job to be of service. And I know so many profound people, advanced souls here, that are simply just walking amongst people, and not being the show ponies, but just being here,
Mm,
and not taking on so much responsibility, not being shown and not having responsibility to be who they are. It's almost like some of the really advanced beings are sort of hidden amongst the muggles.
well, yeah, interesting. I'm sure they are up there too, but they're very much so in all aspects and all areas of in life.
Yeah.
And it's just like there's many forms of intelligence. There's not just one intelligence. You go to college and get university. That's no. There's so many. And it's
Definitely.
interesting you bring this up. I'm reading a fantastic book called Grandmother Anna. She's Anna, the grandmother of Jesus.
Uh-huh.
And this book is like, it's just so insightful, talking about the our star people, and speaking about lives on Earth, 600 years, 1,000 years, and
Mhm.
just the scenes. And
It was
yeah,
this
I can't actually.
channeled book, or who's
It
written?
was, yeah, yeah. It's a channel book. It's a channel book, and it's just incredible. But she was saying, Anna, grandmother of Jesus
Yeah,
and the mother of Mary. She said, if I was walking down the street, you wouldn't even know me.
yeah.
You wouldn't even see me. And this woman who walked into this life, has been doing galactic work up there with the universe and all the beings. And she just walked down the street, and you'd never even know.
It's interesting. I wonder if it is in print, because I have also had a client that's the same deal, was Anna, but it was her original life, which we explored. So that's interesting. I love, any information is always great information, right? Because it always opens our minds and consciousnesses and thoughts to all possibilities.
I was nearly even too excited even share anything on this book and to try and get it out, but it's just so insightful, and coming from a Catholic background
Sure.
as well, and what I've been spoon fed throughout my life. Now it feels that I'm receiving deep truth,
Yeah.
and about the lineage of Jesus and Mary. And this book goes into such in detail, and completely not what one would think would be right when I sing grandmother of Jesus. It's just fantastic. Yeah, that's all I can say here.
Well, that's exciting. I
Really.
mean, we've
I
explored
yeah,
all.
I recommend whoever
Sure.
I feel whoever feels this and resonates, and they'll read it, they're meant to read it, and they'll get an amazing insight.
And what I love
Yeah.
about people is that they're very curious. And so, lots of people are finding lots of interns and having mini sessions, and this will spark interest and they will want to explore it for themselves and channel for
Mm,
themselves, because each collective seems to have their own sort of reference point of information and perspectives. And it's kind of like, see, I just thought, the Palladians would all share one perspective, the Arcturians would share all one perspective. And it's kind of like, well, my family would give you a perspective of one Christmas day. And, my family have all different perspectives. And your family could come and visit my family on that Christmas day, and they would have a whole different, perspective. So it's an individual perspective as well as a collective perspective. It gets quite convoluted, but when we ask about the shift, when we ask about new earth, when we ask about the events to come, when we understand the significance and the events of what's going to occur for us to then officially call this planet the old earth experience time frame, it's that's very consistently the same. And while different locations will get different information, it's still very consistent. And it still is mind blowing. I want to
mm.
share this with you. I saw someone listening to one of my videos, and he stopped it at 2 minutes in and said, oh, no, this is dangerous, and this is so unprofessional, this is outrageous that she would approach the sessions like this, because she asks the subconscious a question, it answers it, and then she thanks the subconscious, and that is giving the client a false recognition of what that being just said was correct and accurate. And basically they applied that I was manipulating the answers by thanking them after they responded back to me.
Interesting perspective, and it's just an opinion.
The devil, yeah.
Mm,
It's amazing how people would jump to really silly conclusions or assumptions. Like, I think because they were like, oh, that hypnotherapist. Well, I'm not a hypnotherapist. What do I label myself as? I label myself as I'm that girl, nearly reaching 50 million years old.
mm.
um, and, I'm obviously just me. And I don't recognize myself, label myself. I don't think I've ever labeled myself as a hypnotherapist. What I get to do is help my clients get into a very deep state of relaxation where they channel. And so whether it's their conscious mind channeling for certain parts of it, or whether it's their subconscious mind channeling, you can tell. And, you know, sometimes there is a mixture of it. But this is why it's so important for us to doubt everything, ask questions, and see what we channel. I think that is the most healthiest way, instead of just blindly accepting everything. Be curious, challenge the systems, challenge everything, because we accidentally hold on to a lot of which could have been truth at one point. I mean, Dolores Cannon's work is a fantastic example. It was true and accurate at the day she did those sessions. Now we know the difference a day can make. And it is so crucially important for us to be able to still understand what the shift actually means, understand what this planet is going through. And it seems like more and more of my clients are having really full-on experiences being evacuated from other planets. Now, they haven't even listened to my sessions. They don't even know why or how they're connected into me. They've just been guided, and it's very confusing for them. And so they have these regressions where they were on other planets, and, you know, whatever reasons, that planet needed to be evacuated, and it was a sense of urgency. Now they're going through the huge range of emotions about this. People aren't believing them. People aren't trusting them. People aren't understanding the urgency, the seriousness of it, and them knowing that they have to leave beings behind who are not going with them and trusting them. This is a huge, huge trigger that I've experienced. I don't know, very recently, lots of sessions seem to be clients who have had very strong other lifetimes where they just couldn't support all who should have been able to be supported with their shifts. And for the planet to explode, some of them have got stuck trying to help and convince others to go with them to safety, to go on board their ships, trust them, because this planet is unstable. And, you know, it's really interesting. So, of course, you know, I sort of ask the subconscious, well, what's the significance of showing my client this today? And they sort of say, well, you know why. But they, you know, like, but the subconscious knows that this is a very delicate situation to remind the client, you're here because of these experiences that you've already had. You're coming to another stage where you're going to have this other time where you need to be of service and support for those. And it's very challenging, but it's like the subconscious knows they need to fully awaken to what's happened to them in the past. What are their triggers? Why they are constantly worried that they're running late. If you cannot help enough people to be trusting you to be able to evacuate a planet, and you've got so much pressure to try and help as many as you can, and you die during your service, that kind of seems to hold on to your own, always feeling pressured, always feeling like you can't be late for anything, because being late for something is bigger than just, oh, well, whoops, sorry, excuse me, 5 minutes late. This is like, they almost have a life or death panic attack of urgency, and the thought of them ever being late can actually, you know, really challenge them.
Oh, it goes so deep, doesn't it? And what on the same stroke, what a beautiful insight to receive, to gain understanding and understanding, to begin a process of healing, of healing that.
Yeah,
that's huge.
well,
And
there's a huge amount of emotions that go with it all.
I can only imagine. Yeah, huge. Feeling into it there. Yeah, quite heavy.
The biggest one is a huge relief that they realize suddenly their whole life makes sense. Well, while it is the most outrageous thing to be able to feel comfort in and have this deeper inner knowing, because when you have this inner knowing, but you cannot find the truth that it's like that's itch you just cannot scratch. And so
Mm,
if you have done evacuated planets, that's there are huge amounts of numbers of beings that do this all the time, because I mean, may not have noticed, but there's quite a lot of planets out there, and a lot of them also aging at a rapid rate, and also being compromised and unstable for many different reasons. And so there's so much to be said about maintenance of planets, maintenance of living beings, which are planets. And if they have occupants on there, even if it's just plants, there is still guardians and guides that want to support all living beings who are having experiences as part of their role. It's their gig. And so it's quite significant who's here on this planet right now.
yes, feel that very much so.
And so, my friend, first, do you feel like you're a second wave volunteer or first wave volunteer?
I believe I said I was an all-way volunteer in our session.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I haven't looked into that anymore. Actually, I try not to get too much on it. I just I'm happy exactly where I am,
Of course.
whatever that may be.
And so, but just out of curiosity, questioning everything.
Yes.
But this is your first lifetime here, right?
Yes.
Why do I feel like you had a very short, other quick lifetime that you didn't get born?
Interesting.
Was that your session?
I think I do remember being on another planet, but I don't feel I was a
Okay.
being. I think I was a rock, a big rock or something, on a different planet, which like wasn't with humans.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, you could jazz it up and say a pillar.
Yeah. Oh, it was a very fancy rock, a very fancy pillar. I'll tell you that. Yeah, I felt like I was gardening, minding something.
A boulder he
Very big.
was. I was a boulder.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mm,
right. Well, it is fascinating times. And while we are just loving our lives and being the best we can, whatever that is, and the best being human is being triggered, growing, triggering others, having laughs at ourselves, having laughs at others, but always remembering that, having that true faith, that love is the most valuable, nurturing tool to help all. It can't be that. It's just so easy that you can't sort of make it too complicated.
mm. Yeah, and sprinkle the joy and humor, very important. That's something that I'm working with because I went quite serious as well. So sprinkling the joy
Yeah.
and humor of it all, and spirit can interact with us more freely
And
when
my
we got
friend,
that joy
I
and
think
lightness.
this is the problem when we know we're here to be of service, and we've got a role. Like we don't want to be like, I'm a big deal, I've got stuff to do. It's kind of like we don't own those labels of leadership roles or whatever. We just own that responsibility of we need to get stuff done. Like this is fun. Like we could be distracted and earth stuff and try and collect many mortgages. There is this more serious sense that there is something more than the normal routine of human. And I think that seriousness is a great catapult and drive to do inner work.
True. And it's back to the balance stuff, because if you're stuck in that seriousness for too long,
Of course.
like when I went, I definitely experienced that. And I felt like, wow, definitely need to have the balance and of the joy. But yes, it does get you where you need to go for sure. But also with that seriousness, I feel that a lot of us feel that we have the weight of the world on our shoulders.
Oh yeah.
But there is many, many people, light workers, beautiful beings, that are doing the work all over. It's not just on our shoulders. And
Yeah.
that's where I feel the lightness comes in. And oh yeah, you can take that off a bit. Um,
Definitely.
and make that
Definitely.
change. Yeah,
You
because
can
we're all together. We're all so unique and so gifted in our own ways, and we come together and we're so strong and powerful together. and to
Definitely.
know that there's so many of us doing this beautiful work. Um,
We
yeah.
are like keys on a piano. We're all our own little individual notes. And when we know how to work together and someone actually knows how to play us well, it's beautiful harmony. And we sing together, and we
It
just
is
shine together.
that that's heaven on earth. That's what I
Mhm.
feel. I feel when we are together in this beautiful connection, and a high vibration, it's heaven on earth. That's what it feels like. It
It,
really does.
people ask, well, where is my home? Where is what is my planet? What's my home planet? And the subconscious will say to some, your home is with your soul family. It doesn't matter if you're on
Mm,
Timbuktu or Funky Town, you being with your soul family is huge. Like, that's actually what people are craving, is that the soul
mm.
family, because that's everything. And I guess some people sort of think, was my house nice and my home planet, like,
It's so
who
funny.
who's been doing my lawns on my home planet house?
Who's in Funky Town now? I want to know who's there. I
Do
want to
they have
know who's
internet?
scheduled.
Who's the leader? And what's my cryptocurrency translation?
Mhm.
um, when people get told about them not needing any money anymore soon, this really confuses them, because they have been training all their lives to make abundance of wealth, and that
Mm.
money is the most significant thing to worship. And when the subconscious knows that and triggers them into saying, well, you won't have any money, like that. Oh, no mansions on the new earth.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah, that's a deep generational one for sure. It's gone through many years. It's definitely a big shock when we're in that illusion
Well,
of money.
and then people think, but we'll live together for a while, we'll have like a community. Oh, this feels like a cult. I don't want to go to new earth. It feels too cultish. But like, there's no leaders. What who's going to tell us what to do then? Like, it's a huge evolution step of how we're living. And when we actually feel it, when you go to the new earth in sessions, and it's all completely within you, and everyone is right there, and it's this insanely amazing, like, there's no words, like, it's the best amazing wonderment. Like, you can't, those words feel like trash. They're so like mean, like the pathetic in description of what new earth feels like. And honestly, like, it's so frustrating, because I would love to, like, fully express the full awesome, the full high frequency of just love. It's so powerful and so strong. And I think this is the challenge for people who've had experiences going to the new earth in sessions or dreams, or however they've got there into that high frequency, come back here and feel extra more pressure to get the show on the road.
Yes.
Because when we see our soul family struggling, triggered, losing hope, losing faith, starting to get so despondent and fear with all of the things they're starting to awaken up to, they're becoming, I want to say this, but without, I'm saying this with dramatics, they're almost becoming like feral animals of being trapped and pushed into a corner, and they can't see, when they don't know about the new earth, when they don't know about the shift, they can't see a solution that's going to be the answers. They're so confused, they're losing faith that there's nothing positive that's happening, and all they can see is more control coming in, more manipulation, more censorship, more more of their freedoms being ripped from them. And you can grab a whole bunch of community members who want unity, who want to live in peace and harmony and connections, and they've got their children, and they become warriors, and they start saying things like, we're going to fight. We're going to fight for our freedoms. Like they're at that breaking point, and it's like you want to empower them to drop the fear, but also it's a huge conversation to have about, I promise you amazing days are coming. And, like, you take you on that journey of what's going to happen and why. It's a huge conversation.
It is. It truly is. It's where, unwavering trust and surrender comes in. But yeah, how do you share that with people unless they can come to that themselves?
It's conversation, it's healing. But what we feel when we think, oh, I don't know if I can handle talking to this people that are still afraid, still can't see don't know about the shift, don't know about the spirituality, don't know any of this sort of stuff. We don't want to deal with them because we know they're in this deep terror and this deep fear. And it's so painful for us to see them in that, while we know all purposeful, their journey, la 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 la. This is when we want to be humble and not speak.
I still come back to, and this is where I find peace in this, is that it's their journey and I respect their journey. Yeah. And it's, I've managed to, and this is where sometimes I think, wow, I'm insensitive, and I don't have love, and I'm not falling into really feeling upset and everything else for him. I kind of question that to myself at times. I'm like, no, I'm not actually dropping into that energy, because that's not going to serve them either.
Yeah.
So coming back again to just that, yeah, respecting the journey, and that in the trust that they will find their way. And just for myself personally, I find that really helps alleviate any other fears or anything else that tries to come in. And yeah, but it's a hard one for sure.
It's one where we have to, share that we believe amazing things are coming. There just cannot be any other scenario. Because the thing is that we don't want to share, like, well, I've had quite a few sessions channeling some Arcturians. Yeah, the ETs, get over it, don't get triggered about that part, because all ETs are good. Like, that's almost impossible to have a conversation if they're not open to anything. You talking to ETs, oh, they're definitely the devil. They're definitely going to abduct you and eat your organs. Like, there's so much to, like, it's beyond a hard conversation. So all we can share is our feelings. I believe there is amazing things. I believe in hope. I believe in love. I trust humanity is going to get it. And we don't have to have the answers, even though we know huge amounts of good answers. And this is what you're saying about tell them the truth, but part of the truth. When what we can own is our feelings. No other details, no other information. But when we share our feelings, that must be the most powerful thing.
It is 100%. As we share our feelings from our heart, it opens hearts. When we go into that depth, that's what unlocks people, the authenticity, the truth, their heart, our feelings, and that alone does the healing and does the opening.
Oh, okay, I'm going to stop this recording now. I think that this is very insightful to remind us that we don't need to share all the details, but speaking up, not being afraid to have feelings. We can still be meek and humble, and also allow ourselves to share our feelings in great delivery.
I'd also like to share, just in something we touched on earlier, you're a fool if you're not a skeptic, is a quote that I've read before. And also to not embody what other people say, not to embody what we say, is to really drop into your heart and see what resonates. And a little short story of when the Buddha came down, or the Buddha said, even if I come down to see you and I sit in front of you and share, question what I say as it's only my opinion,
Yeah. Yeah. Love
and
it.
always keep back within into our heart. That's where all the knowing is. Beautiful.
I do
Lovely.
I do agree, because people will just, I mean, it's so profound. And I know even Jesus had said in a session, even if I came down, even if I looked like who you think I would look like, you'd still doubt it. Like I'd have to be in your presence and talk to you, and you'd have to do, like 100 million question quiz. And I'd have to do a whole lot. He said, I'd have to do a whole lot of tricks for you to believe. And so I was like, well, yeah, what kind of tricks would you have to do to like convince them? And he's like, well, they would obviously say, we'll turn this water into wine. And then he's like, but that's just high frequency energy that's so intoxicatingly uplifting, it makes them feel tipsy. And I'm like, yeah, well, nah, people, we're quite used to our liquor now. We would want like some vodka or something. We don't want wine. That's Sunday juice. We want. So yeah, he was saying he would find it hard. I mean, this is him saying this in sessions. He would find it hard to come down, even as his human self, because there'd be so much skeptics. And he said, but it's the same as when he was alive. There was so much skeptics that wanted to poo-poo him, disbelieve him, mock him, ridicule him, because he wasn't, the official controlling narrative. People believed the controlling propaganda at the time versus, a spiritual man who wore sandals and, try to empower people.
Yeah, it's psychological depth of it.
Thank goodness we know that we're all part of Source, we're all one, we're all special unicorns, we're all amazing, and we're all purposeful.
Yes, we are.
And so we don't need to try and find a Buddha or a Jesus. We have to find ourselves.
Exactly. That's where it's at, and I believe that's what their message was. That's where it's at. As soon as we go looking for nirvana, we're not going to find it, because we are it. We search for enlightenment, you're not going to find it, because we are it. We are born. We are enough since day dot. It's
So
what we are.
For those people who have been dismissing themselves and thinking that they're a piece of shit because they're not the top in the class and they're not good at anything and they've just got this mundane job and, the pile of washings loaded up and they don't have a runner's body, like those kind of people who are normal humans, very special, valid humans, would never consider that they're it, that they are divine. And, but that's not necessarily what the life contracts are for some. They don't want to remember who they are. They know very much who they are. That's not, finding themselves is not part of their life contract. It's about having, for some, lots of gruesome experiences in physical lives. And this is so interesting for them because it's a novelty.
Well, for those who want to make the change, it's like eating good food, which is consciousness, drinking pure water, consciousness, starting up your morning rituals, saying a small prayer. It doesn't have to be bless yourself in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. It can be any way at all. Speaking as a prayer. There's many ways, and just to start a discipline and slowly, and it really makes a change.
I think people believe, oh well, it has to be a 21-day routine before it's locked in and it's ready, and people sort of seem to self-sabotage, and so when we have these like dates, anything connected to dates, I sort of think almost kind of makes us trip over ourselves. Doing it once is the start of a routine, and every time you do it, it's a habit. And so, sometimes we've got good habits, sometimes we don't. We know that there is no good or bad. And so people sort of feel like, oh, I've got to run that marathon and complete that marathon to be able to start training for that marathon. And the reality is the journey is the training, and life is the marathon. Every day is a small version of that marathon. And what are we doing to honor with positive routines, positive self-talk, positive belief in self, and almost see how long can we go without starting to remember that story about the shit that we've wanted to tell ourselves about ourselves or others or situations or the dramas or the distractions. Like, see how long we can go with that positivity, with that pure heart intention, with that love. And if it comes in, don't beat ourselves up about it, but say, I don't think this is serving me, thinking about this or being distracted with this or feeling hurt by this anymore. I'm going to let it go. Because I think we get so into a routine of looping to worry about, what should we worry about today? It should be, what should we love today? What can we empower ourselves and inspire ourselves to do today?
The question to ask yourself is, am I done torturing myself? If you say yes, well then be the change. If you say no, okay, continue on. That's okay, and until you had enough. And there's just for some people, and even myself, trying to get back into my routine, it can be tricky. What I heard, this another little quote was, it's better to do the good things bad than not do them at all.
So true.
So what it's just get into it slowly. If I just sit and meditate, if I just do meditate for 1 minute, boom, 1 minute, great, I've just done it. And you know, and so on. It's just to create a little habit, and also to make it fun as well. Like maybe put, if you're starting off a new habit and you're doing stretching or something that you don't like doing because you're super tight, and throw on a podcast that you really like, throw on something that's light that you can actually work in the two of them together, and then gradually from there you can upgrade from there and start eventually not having it on.
So good.
There's ways of working around it.
It feels like they're saying to me now, anything you do, celebrate yourself doing it. So if you choose to you know, whatever you're doing, you know, because even if, okay, I'm going to eat this donut, I know that it's got Satan all throughout it because it's covered in sugar, but you know, I'm actually going to enjoy it because it's a choice, and I'm going to, you know, and the bloody thing is, when you eat them, not as good as what in my imagination a donut is. I'm just going to imagine eating my things I sort of crave versus actually eating them, because I know the power of my mind and the craving for that is never as good as actually eating them.
Agree. And then how you feel after. It's the desire. It's the desire that lulls you in for that momentarily pleasure.
Food choice remorse.
But as you said, if you are going for that beautiful treat, and mine will be a carrot cake now, or some chocolate pudding. But if I do
the most fun keto cheesecakes. I've got it down to a fine art. It's basically my own creativity right now. It's so good, and I just it gives me joy.
Do the travel by post? Okay.
No, you have to come here.
So if we go for a beautiful keto cheesecake, and rather than going, right, I'm going to eat that and then I'm going to feel like shit, I even feel like not good when I'm eating it, like it's the energy of it. So if you're going to have it, do as you said, really enjoy it, don't have any shame or guilt, go boom, I've enjoyed that, boom, that's it, it's all good. It's not to go into a self-deprivation and self-judgment and all that. If you're going to eat it, enjoy it fully, embrace it.
That was one of the things that cracked me up when Dolores Cannon first came into one of my sessions, in a QHHT session, was she misses the food.
Well, there's some amazing food. We've got to
Yeah,
say.
it is so true. And I just want to say, I just share some photos with you of my garden because I've got over 200 tulip bulbs all springing out now, and it just gives me so
Please.
much joy. They're in such awesome, vibrant colors, and they just have got their own personalities, just shining in my garden. And I just finding so much joy in such simplistic visual energies. It's just such an amazing time to be alive. I feel so blessed and grateful to have found so much fun soul family members like yourself.
Mhm.
And just, you're so right, we have got so much support here. And if we want to poison ourselves with some bad attitudes for a day, enjoy it. Do whatever you do, make sure you enjoy it, because we've got stuff to do. And we quickly remember that it just feels like crap and that it doesn't give us joy. But sometimes we've got to be human again and really embrace it, to remember, oh, I liked it better in my head.
Mhm. And you've hit the nail on the head here, is to remember that we are human and we do slip up and we do forget and we do this, and that's okay. It's all a practice what we're doing. Practice,
Yeah.
practice, practice. And if we mess up, we mess up. Well, it's all right, it's all good.
A
And
good way to
from
look
that,
at it
I
a good way to
yes,
look at
yes.
it is, are we tripping up being human to be of service to others, to be able to either hold them accountable or to sort of be a mirror to their reflection? Because we can't help people in a lower density until sometimes we're that lower density ourselves.
Mm, that's true. That's an interesting one there now.
It's a hero's work being human. Don't forget.
Yes.
And sometimes I think this is because we are those advanced souls, that being human just feels um not so enlightening.
That's the paradox. Yes. Yeah. How it goes together.
And
So
being of
funny. I've,
service to humans also feels not so enlightening.
mm,
It's a fun game that we probably don't get to explore much. I know, this being my first lifetime here on Earth, plus some additional walk-ins hanging out for the joy ride of this fantastic that girl life. Living the dream.
mm, beautiful. And for us all to be like your beautiful tulips in the garden, expressing and celebrating their beauty and their lives. That's
Yeah,
all within us.
definitely. Find the joy, get the color in our lives. It's so empowering. We sort of like softer colors, or sort of, I think the thing is that we actually, you know what? If we're feeling stagnant in our lives, we need to change the whole like configuration of like the furniture and get some bold art in there. Do random sort of changes like that to really make us see the house again or see our lives again, because we again get stuck in these routines that make us feel comfortable, and we are missing the details because we are not noticing things. When you change something and you notice it for a little bit and then it's just the norm, and
Mhm.
everything just blurs out.
Mm.
Important. Okay, I'm going to
Bring,
stop
bring,
now.
bring it back to Funky Town.
I don't know,
That's it.
Timbuktu sounds quite cool too.
Yeah, that's lovely.